quotient conversation on the road to the G20 Brazil. I'm Elizabeth Vasquez, the CEO and co-founder of We Connect International, and I know how lucky I am to get to have this conversation amongst true experts who are leading the way in making sure that we have a more equal G20 and create the opportunities that everyone needs to have an impact. And that's important because the G20 has only 3 main pillars this year. And the first pillar is social inclusion. And so I'm excited to go around and ask each of you, tell me about your organization very quickly. And then I'm going to ask you about why are you a great example of how we get to social inclusion and some policy recommendations. So maybe we'll start at the end and we'll work this way.
Okay. Hello. Oh, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Andrea Groboco-Patel. I'm an economist. I am a W20 delegate from Argentina, and I am an agribusiness woman, a venture capital investor, and my purpose is financial and labor inclusion for all, especially for women, and I do in 2 ways. One is Floor Foundation, which try to help the organization and the leadership to be more responsible, and nobody will be responsible if they don't have women in decision-making position. So we prepare women to break the glass ceiling, we prepare women to have economic independence, but everything that you want to know about Fundación Flor, you can follow us in our social media, our network.
Wonderful.
So I'm Luana Genot. I was born and raised in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where the G20 will be. So everyone is more than invited to come and join us at the G20. And I'm a CEO, I'm a writer, I'm a TV host in Brazil and also a board member. I lead an organization called Instituto Identidades do Brasil, Identities Institute of Brazil. And we basically, when you think about IDBR, think about inclusion of marginalized voices in Brazil and Latin America. The voices that are not here today. The voice of Black and Indigenous women that don't have like the white badge to go to the Congress Center or other places. But they need to be added in this conversation because we lose when they are not here. So that's what we do, basically. And we help companies to be more intentional on hiring them, on promoting them. And I'm also sitting in the board of President Lula for including more Black and Indigenous women across the globe.
Wow, muito obrigada. That's incredible. Very impressive. As you can see, it's a very impressive group.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Bea Gasca. I'm from Mexico. Actually, I live now in the United States. I have 2 hats. One is businesswoman. My company, it's focused on nearshoring. And maybe you've heard about nearshoring lately, but it's a very good tool for balance the opportunities for women worldwide. So you can be in the United States and hire Mexican talent, women Mexican talent, and help them to have a fair salary, opportunities, not for women living in Mexico City, like women living in very, very faraway communities deeper in Mexico, and that helps a lot, as you know, to protect children and a lot of other benefits. In my other hat, I'm an activist, and I've been politically persecuted by the Mexican government in 2020. I was exposed, all my personal data was exposed as well. I was helping moms of disappeared girls from 3 or 4 years old that were sexual trafficked, and their moms were desperate, so I helped them to raise their voices, and that's when the government said that I was a conspirator. So that's the reason why I moved to United States. My book is coming out this year, and nice to meet you, everybody.
Fearless. I will be buying that book. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Angela Williams, and I'm president and CEO of United Way Worldwide, which is one of the largest privately funded nonprofits in the world. We operate in 37 countries. We think about community resilience, and what goes into community resilience, we focus on 4 areas: access to healthcare, education, economic mobility, and then climate and disaster response. What I'm really pleased about is that we're having a conversation yet again, but I'm glad this is still happening, to be able to talk about what we can do to further girls, teenagers, women, in their access to healthcare, education, and economic mobility. Because when we do that, then the world is going to end up being a better place.
So much to do, so little time. So glad you're leading. Maybe I'll start with you in a couple of minutes. Tell us about your model and why is it such a great example that needs to be replicated for each of you throughout the G20?
United Way operates in communities, so all of our employees live in the communities in which they work. What makes that so incredible is that there's proximity. We have the relationships with the people in which we serve. When we work with the community, we go in not as saviors, but as partners. Let me give you a quick example. In a village outside of Accra, Ghana, this is the Kwamoso village, most of the men left to go into the city to find employment. That left the women with not much of an education or economic opportunities. We took $14,000 US, and with that, we're able to build 3 businesses for the women. That included a bakery, a bead-making business, and a soap-making business. Now, those women have trained 300 or 400 other women in neighboring villages who have now launched their own businesses. And so when you help one, then you're furthering not only the ability of the family to thrive and survive, but then women tend to pass it on.
Wow, that's so inspiring. Okay. You can pick whichever hat you want.
Exactly. Thank you. So, Latinas are the new black. Women are the new black. And I really believe that we need to talk more about what is happening in Latin America. In these spaces, I've heard a lot about many issues, and I know all of them are important, but I barely hear about what is happening in Latin America that is becoming a communist territory. And I'm not in favor or against any political party, but they attack activist women. They are doing us to be scared. They are trying to quiet us down. And I invite you, if you are not from Latin America, to listen more about what is happening there. Like, really, we also need help. We also need representation. We also need other countries to push what is happening in Mexico in particular, but in all Latin America, to change the conversation and to rescue us. In Mexico, we have 11 women killed every single day, only for being sexual traffic. You know, like they rape them and then they kill them because it's normal, because nobody's taking attention to that. Now that I live in the United States, due to this persecution, the problem is different, but still they have a lot of issues to solve, but nobody's talking about Latin America. So if I can share with you something in this road to G20, and it's amazing that it's happening in Latin America this year, is that the eyes of the world are on women activists. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very humbling and clearly a call to action. So thank you for that. So you're in the host country. Tell us why we should all be paying attention to what you're doing and why it needs to be expanded throughout the G20.
So we help companies, organizations, schools to be very intentional about inclusion. What does that mean? It means like if any one of us has like a VC fund or we have like a climate tech, we need to be very intentional about one of the main topics of the G20, which is inclusion. Inclusion, social inclusion, need to be very intersectional, need to be like gender inclusion, need to be racial and ethnic inclusion when you think about Latin America, when you think about the women that are not on the table. So we need to pay attention on how are those funds for climate change, for energy transitions, are always are also sent to build more opportunities to those underrepresented communities. So we are working with the government to make sure that those funds that are going to Amazon, the Amazon Fund, will also finance underrepresented groups and the knowledge they already produce. So because sometimes we neglect that in the fields, in the rural areas, there are so many people actually producing knowledge, producing a lot of things that need to be valued to. So, we are in the global north, and we need to also see the global south as a source of knowledge, and we need to pay for that. And I wish we all can also be very intentional on, investing in Latin America and also get benefit to, the marginalized communities that are there, and they are underserved in terms of financial resources, and hopefully we can pay attention to that and take the opportunity of the G20 to revert funds for those communities.
And there's no way we're going to have a sustainable planet if we don't do that. It's in all of our vested interests. So thank you for what you're doing.
I will read to be more agile. Last year, during India's presidency, G20 Brazil and us led the Women Entrepreneurs Task Force, and among other recommendations, we did two. The first one, access to market, public and private procurement, national and international, e-commerce, access to corporate value and supply chain, and new tech. In fact, we have set a target, 20% public procurement, though we believe we can aim higher, and we are gradually increasing year by year. To implement this recommendation, the action at Floor Foundation is we did a program named From Entrepreneur to Businesswoman, and where they learn the necessary skill to trade, to grow, to innovate, to internationalize. And the second recommendation is improve access to finance, collateral, and capital. We suggest all the investors use the gender lens, of course. And to implement this, we introduce a new initiative and program named Flow Venture to train more women to be venture capital investor. And access to collateral is also an issue, and as we want to be part of the solution, we found Resiliencia SGR that is provide entrepreneurs and startup with collateral and consultancy services. I like to say the recommendation and how we try to put our grain of sand to this discussion.
Wow, so obviously a topic very close to my heart. Thank you for what you're doing. I know it's not easy work, but it's absolutely necessary if we want to make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to compete and win and contribute their solutions. So thank you for that. I've been a member of the G20 and B20 for many years, and I'll be the first to admit I should be stepping aside so that other voices who haven't been a part of those delegations have the opportunity to apply and to contribute. So for those who haven't been active, and the ones who have, we need to make changes. And so thank you for what all of you are doing to contribute to the road to the G20. If you could wave a magic wand and you could get the policymakers, all the G20 policymakers, to agree on one policy that would lead to social inclusion, gender equality in particular, what would that policy say in a minute?
One of the W20 Brazil topic will be care, equitable care for children, people with disabilities, and adults. I believe the infrastructure is very important, but also education. Education from the kindergarten to the university, from adults. Every person will need skills to take out prejudices, biases, and stereotypes. So maybe infrastructure and education for care.
If I would have to have an agreement on G20, I would say revert funds for marginalized groups, especially Black and Indigenous people who are there that need to be funded, and to take all the funds like we are having now for Amazon and the investments for energy transition for those groups. We need that to be done, and we need an agreement, and also the power of civil society to raise our voices, actually to influence that decision. So hopefully we can all meet during the G20 and discuss about that. I mean, the female quotient and everyone who is here, the United Way and other organizations, we can have the same discussion there and put pressure on the governments and in the companies to revert funds for the marginalized communities.
Brilliant. It's not going to happen without inclusion. It's not going to happen without money. So we hear you.
Daycare. It's a kind of violence against women to have to pay for daycare. It's illogical and it's inhuman that when we decide to be moms, we need to pay for that and to pay a cost against our professional careers, against our economy. So I think that if we have daycare, and this is not only for helping women, of course, but also children. They also need to be protected, and they need to be to have good food. Daycares normally give them the breakfast that they are not able to have at home. So for sure, daycare.
I'm going to cheat and do two quickly. First, of course, is pay equity, and it starts with the government. And so the government should be mandating that for women, there should be pay equity. And then the second thing is a model that we have in the U.S. with J40. Justice 40 was signed into office by President Biden, and it says that all federal funds, 40% should be set aside and used and directed towards minority and low-income communities. So J40, pay equity.
So I think you can see why female quotient exists is because when we come together as delegates for the W20 or the B20, and we're trying to influence the G20 policymakers to adopt the various recommendations that we put forward, how hard it is to pick and choose. It's really, really hard because every single intervention, every single policy each of you recommended is absolutely critical to reaching equality. And so it takes it takes truly a global village to make this happen, and it takes everyone here to commit to take action. So my question for each of you now, we'll start one more time, we've got a few more minutes. What is your call to action? You have this incredible community of leaders right here at Davos in this Equality Lounge. What's your ask? If you could ask them to do one thing when they get back that would have an impact, what would that be?
It would be wherever your sphere of influence is, identify that one barrier that needs to be broken through and take it on courageously. And don't stop until you've broken through all the way.
We all should be activists. And I want to bring here, and you don't need to have a big foundation. Any women that approach you and ask for help, just help her. And I want to bring Simone de Beauvoir, one of the biggest activists from all times here, with her favorite phrase for me: let nothing limit you, let nothing define you, let nothing hold you. Let freedom be your own substance.
Well, I would like to be very intentional, and I would like to invite everybody who is here to come to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and have this conversation and put pressure on the government so we can have, again, more Black and Indigenous people being part of the decision-making roles, and also to revert funds for those communities that are underserved. So if you can come to Brazil and we can have this conversation, me, myself, and Irina will be organizing talks about equality, about inclusion. So if you either have a business, if you have an initiative, and you want to come to Brazil to the COP30 that will be in Belém, you can come and look for us. We are here. We need to take those discussions to the Global South. Thank you.
If you go to Brazil, you can go to Argentina. Is to improve the travel, the expensive. And no, yes, hermana. I want to add that if we don't articulate more we spend a lot of time and money. And so try to articulate with us, with all the organization, the NGO, the spaces, to do more. And in this way, we can be near the goals. No? So we need articulate. And I always say anything that I am determined not to wait 100 years to witness women leading an organization and taking decision from position to leadership, including women with disability, women in all intersectionally. I want to see those change happen during my lifetime. I don't want to die without see this change. So activists, participate, everything that you can, because we need change as quickly as we can.
And I'm not sure, but this might be the first panel to end 4 minutes early. So no way do I not take advantage of the last 4 minutes for each of you to quickly tell all of us, how exactly do we reach you? Website, how do they engage? Can they be a member? Do they buy the book? Do they join? Do they fund? What can they do to support each of you? Because you all are powerful, powerful change makers, and we're there for you.
Excellent, and thank you. Andrea Grobo is my personal. Fundación Flor is the second, the foundation, and the third is Resiliencia SSGR. So if we follow, we can exchange, and we can potential and commitment. Thank you. And W20, of course.
And come to Brazil and Argentina.
Yes.
Yes. Rio de Janeiro, though. So, so I'm Luana Genot, Luana, and Genot, Genot, in the all networks, so LinkedIn or Instagram. So also, I would say follow IDBR, the Instituto Identidades do Brasil, because we'll be, again, organizing talks from now to the G20, and whoever wants to join, participate, because you have an initiative you want to get connected to Brazil, or if you work with climate action, climate justice, and you have a VC, you are, you have something that you potentially see in Brazil, a way to expand your business, talk to us, and talk to IDBR or talk to myself, Luana Genot, and we are here to help you. Thank you.
Beagasca, Beagasca, all the platforms, gmail.com if you want to email me for talent, women talent, obviously, and any kind of activism. Also, this year the book is coming out, stay tuned. The name is A Woman Against a Feminist. And also, if you are nearby Houston by March 9th, I'm organizing a concert. The name is Women Palooza, and it's about generating consciousness about the different kinds of violence that we suffer. It's a big party concert, and in between each singer, we have real testimonies of survivors from violence. Thank you.
Wonderful. Angela Williams at unitedway.org. So you can find any information about where we're located. Again, we're in 37 countries, and we cover 95% of communities in the U.S. We invite you to be a volunteer, or, of course, we always take donations. Thank you.
You all are so inspiring. So on behalf of We Connect International and the Female Quotient, thank you. Muchas gracias. Muito obrigada. And we're going to do this. Thank you. We are well on the road to the G20.